Did you speak to Tupac when he was in Vegas?
No, he was in an induced coma the whole time. The nurses told me, so I got the luxury when I sat that 12 to 8, the Outlaws were usually in a car outside and I was in the ER waiting room. So the nurse would come out and give me progress reports. And there was this big fat white lady that was the nurse the first 3-4 nights. She came out one night. She's like, "Oh, that Tupac of yours, he's a fighter." I'm like, "What happened?" He's like, "We almost lost him, gave him 500 cc's and whatever, and came right back too." But then she said that he was in an induced coma because each time that he came to, he'd want to pull his plugs out and get out of bed. I was like, "That's crazy." And she said, gunshot victims wake up at the scene of the crime. So that's what they do. So she said he was in an induced coma the whole time. I went in on the 5th night, and I didn't feel comfortable going in anytime before that because it was the family and Outlaws, and Tracy had gone a bunch of times. But for whatever reason, the 5th night, it was like 2-3 in the morning. The nurse said, "You haven't seen him yet?" I was like, "No." She said, "Why don't you come see your friend?" So I went in, and immediately what fucked me up was his head was twice the size. So the nurse had said he had water on the brain, and his head was swollen, right? And then everywhere that there was a gunshot was covered with gauze, and he was naked except a little sheet covering his privates, but like the finger was gone, there was just a little bandage there. It was fucked up, bro. I just walked up to him. I put my hand on his arm. It's ice cold. I said a prayer, and then I walked out, and that was the last time I saw him alive.
Wow, man. And I always heard from the people that I spoke to and the people that I interviewed that, if Tupac would have survived, he would have never been the same Tupac. He would have never been able to rap anymore.
I don't agree with that.
Oh, you don't?
No. Why? Tupac is missing a lung. He had everything else. I know a lot of motherfuckers with one lung that could survive, that could rap and do whatever the fuck they want. Tupac was a beast, bro. Tupac was a fucking beast. Had he lived, yeah, all right, motherfucker he was missing some shit like a finger and a lung. I don't think, no, hell no. God rest her soul, Afeni Shakur in an interview once said, Tupac would never bend his knee for no man. I don't think, had he survived, he might have changed his ways real quick, but he was in the process of doing that. He still would have been a fucking beast, bro.
No, Gabi Rahimi makes it clear that Tupac woke up thinking he was still at the crime scene. And by his description of everything, man, you can tell that Tupac was in a very, very, very rough state. And you had the people with the rumor that, oh, Tupac is going to be fine. Oh, Tupac is going to be okay, and all of that. I would really love to know who started that rumor, because for a lot of different people who actually saw Tupac, they will tell you that he was in a rough state. He had tubes going inside of him. Gabi makes it clear his head was, swollen twice its size. His finger was lost, lungs and all of that. So he was visibly in a rough state. I want you guys to watch the rest of the interview, man, because Gabi's even about to speak on Suge Knight, on how he lied about he got shot, and so much more. So watch the full video, listen thoroughly, drop a like, my people, drop a like and subscribe.
Another comment you made earlier, you said that, Suge Knight, he had a piece of glass in his head and not a bullet.
Suge didn't have a Suge. Look, unless Suge got a bullet in his head after that night, the nurse said to us he got hit with a piece of shrapnel, maybe a piece of glass. Right?
You're right.
Why would the nurse wouldn't say that if dude had a bullet in his head?
So that whole story about Suge having a bullet fragment in his head is not true.
She said he was getting a couple of stitches and he'd be taken to a private room.
Right. And I also heard you make a comment saying that, the last 2 months of Tupac's life, it was a lot of tension between Tupac and Death Row, and Tupac wasn't happy on Death Row.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, from the minute that I met him until the day he died, it seemed that the tensions with Death Row were increasing exponentially. Hence him firing his security detail and his legal team, right? Because that's clear. You do that when you're ready to fly the coop. And I think in my humble opinion, I think the mistake he made is the mistake Dre didn't make, because Dre left some of his masters, if I'm not mistaken, right? I honestly think that if he'd left some of his songs, some of his catalog, instead of his 3-album deal, because he had a couple of 100 songs that were unreleased, right? There are 9 Machiavelli albums that were released on the streets for cash after he died. So I think if he'd left some of his songs, maybe he wouldn't have been touched.
Well, from what you know, you being around Pac, do you think he was happy on Death Row?
Tupac wanted his autonomy. I'm sure he had fun on Death Row. But if he was happy on Death Row, he wouldn't want to be getting off of Death Row. Right? And yeah.
So you personally, you think Tupac was leaving Death Row?
That's what we all thought. That's what all his team thought. Up to the day he died, he was leaving Death Row. Well, he fired his legal team and he fired his security. And he had created Euthanasia. We had Euthanasia and Machiavelli Records, but Euthanasia is the one that I had been told was the record company. And we had 24/7 productions for all his videos and movies. He didn't need anyone else. He could have gone and done a deal with Universal on his own. And he had a bunch of artists.
Desiree Smith, man, when I was doing the interview with her, she said something that caught my attention. She said that the doctor said that Tupac was going to survive. And she said that Tupac's family was already setting up plans to send him to Arizona so he can go to rehab. Did you hear about that?
Man, this of course, I don't think she's fabricating anything. I think it might have been something where he definitely would have had to go to rehab because they removed his lung and stuff like that. And I believe, a lot of his family at one particular time was optimistic, thinking that he's going to survive. I think even the doctors sometimes even thought that he was going to survive. When I seen him, he was sedated. And when I seen him, I knew it was more realer than, what was being relayed to us. As I mentioned, his mother, because she's very strong, positive. And the way she was explaining to us, he's okay, he's going to be okay. And I think everybody thought he was going to pull through. And I also want to clear up something because it might have been one of your interviews where I said that she pulled the plug. And I think a lot of people didn't understand, or maybe I didn't explain it correctly. Like Pac, if I'm not mistaken, he died on the table one time in surgery 3 times. And they kept bringing him back to life multiple times. I try my best to be clear as possible, but I know it happened multiple times. And after a while, his mother was like, you know what, just let him go. So it wasn't like, because I noticed that some of the fans, because Pac got some crazy fans. They got some crazy fans, bro. And they started talking bad about his mother. He would have been here if she wouldn't have put the plug. No. You know what I mean? She lost him so many times, and the doctor kept trying to. So after that, the mother seeing this. Imagine a mother seeing this, her child, to a mother that will always be her baby. You understand? So when she kept seeing this, and that's when she like, you know what? Just if you don't bring him back to life this time, and if they was whatever they was doing with the shock, them things. She like just leave it alone. Maybe, everything is from God, so it was more on that, not her walking into the hospital saying, you know what, pull a plug, let's go home. It wasn't like that, because some of these crazy Bot fans, they making it seem like that's what I was speaking about in the interview. So I just want to make that clear.
Speaking of Tupac being in the hospital, man, if you don't mind, man, I know it's hard to go over that and talk about the condition Tupac was in when he was in the hospital. But I know you be hearing the rumors, like I be hearing the rumors, like people talking about Tupac condition, saying that he could have survived. Just let the people know how severe Tupac injuries was when he was in the hospital, fighting for his life.
Well, a person like Pac was like a big brother to me, man. He took me out of the hood. He helped my family.
No, Gabi's story sound hella real, man. Like, his story makes me want to think that Suge Knight set up Tupac, man. Because previously I was saying I don't really believe the theory that Suge Knight set Pac up. But with Gabi's story, it's making me rethinking that decision, man. Like, I don't know, man. His story sound real. His story sound hella real, man. I want you guys to let me know what you think, because he makes it clear the nurse herself told him that Suge didn't have no damn bullet in his head or none of that. It was a piece of glass, right? But I remember the first police responder that was at the scene. He said that, Suge was, grazed in the head or something like that. But, probably he didn't see what it really was. Probably he did see blood running down his face and all of that, but didn't really see what caused the blood running down his face. But he makes it clear that, he said it himself that Suge was grazed or, shot in his head, something like that, right? So, I don't know, man. I don't know. Let me know what you guys believe, but Gabi's story is making me rethinking my decision to say that I don't believe Suge set him up, because I know the theory that, is out there that Suge set him up, because I've heard multiple persons say that, Tupac was going to leave the label and all of that. He was not happy with how things was at coming to an end. And remember, he was supposed to be in Atlanta, and Suge forced him to go to LA and all of that. So there are some such things. There are some things that are pointing to say that Suge set up Tupac. I won't deny it, right? But previously I was saying I do not believe it, but no, I'm starting to rethink that decision. So I want you guys to let me know your thoughts and perspective down in the comment section. Let me know what you guys honestly believe down in the comment section. And when it comes on to Napoleon making it clear that, Tupac's mom didn't just step in the hospital one day and just say, listen, man, we ain't gonna do this no more. Like, pull the plug. Nah, she was watching her son being revived and dying again and again and again. I don't want to even say imagine yourself in that position, because I do not wish that on none of y'all, but still, imagine yourself in that position, watching your child dying over and over and over again. So I fully understand why the mom made that decision, man. For some people, they might say they would have, tried to hold on longer, but remember, it has been days, and, man, that is rough, man. That's rough, man. She didn't want to keep on seeing that side of her son, dying over and over again with just a, glimpse. Probably some person would say all they would need is just a glimmer of hope and all of that. But remember, it has been days, man, and he was already in a rough situation, right? He was already in a rough situation. So I fully understand why the mom decided to make that decision. right? I want you guys to let me know your thoughts or perspective down in the comment section. Let me know what you guys honestly think, man. I will be speaking on the rumor where, all of the persons saying that Tupac was going to be fine. I will be speaking on that on the end of the video, so I want you guys to stick around for that. I want you guys to watch the rest of the interview and drop a like, my people. Drop a like and subscribe.
So it doesn't matter what condition he would have been in. I wanted to see him survive. When you genuinely care about a person, you don't care if he have one lung, he doesn't have a leg. We want him with us. You know what I mean? Even if it's never rap again. You understand? So we wanted to see him survive. But the situation when I walked into the hospital and I seen him, that's when I realized it wasn't as what was relayed to us. It was a very bad situation. So I think, by them allowing him, stop trying to bring him back to life, his body kept shutting down. His body kept going. So his mother was like, there's nothing really we can do at this particular time, at this moment. So I think, and if we feel this way, imagine his mother. She carried him 9 months in her stomach. So imagine how she feels. It wasn't easy for her to watch him go, and they trying to bring him back to life multiple times. And that's when she was like, you know what? He fought long enough. Let him go. You know what I mean? That's what her mindset was. So of course it doesn't matter what condition he was in. We wanted to see him survive.
But you knowing Tupac, do you think he would have wanted to survive and be in that condition?
I think she mentioned before, like, knowing how proudful he was, he would have been upset. He would have been upset because losing a lung, he probably would have never been able to rap again. Losing a finger, she said, and she knew her son, like, Pac is a very prideful individual, so he probably could have been bitter. He probably would have survived and been like, you know what? You know what I mean? Why, But I think the situation, everything happened the way God wanted it to happen. Everything is written, man. So the day that Pac died, it was written that he would die that day. You know what I mean? So you can't blame nobody. You can't blame the mother. You can't blame. He died. You know what I mean? This is from the creator of the heavens and the earth, that written for him,
And him being like a ladies' man, you know how females like them. That probably, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like to go into the details like that, but you know what I mean? But like what you said, like he the mother know more than better than all of us. And she said his pridefulness, he wouldn't have want to walked around in that situation. Cause not being able to rap, maybe not being able to act anymore, probably, you know what I mean? It probably would have been, but for us who love him, we don't care about that. We wanted him to survive. You know what I mean? But Qadar Allah, which means this is the decree of God. You know what I mean?
Last question. Tupac was a very pivotal figure in both of our lives.
Right.
The mixtape that put me in the hip hop game was the Tupac Rap Phenomenon mixtape. Tupac was a huge influence on who you are and how your career went and some of the decisions you've made along the way. How do you feel now that Keefe D has been arrested for his involvement in the Tupac murder?
I feel like the individual that killed Tupac is dead.
Right.
So arresting Keefe D after all this time for his role or his not role in, the death of Tupac, pointless to me, because the person that killed Tupac got murdered.
Yeah,
and if you're from Compton or you're from LA and you're as deep in the streets as I am, then you know what's up.
Yeah, I've known about the Orlando story.
Who killed Tupac, who killed Biggie is no mystery to that live in LA, man.
Biggie, I don't know.
We gonna keep you in the not know, and
you can keep me in the not know. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But the Tupac story, I've known for a good 15 years.
Yeah.
And listen, I did the interview with Keefe that basically laid out the whole story, but this was after he already wrote a book about it.
Right.
But it's
You don't think that they didn't know that Keefe D was there, had anything to do with it? They knew the whole time.
He had already testified. He had already confessed to it.
Right.
In the proffer agreement.
But his deal with them people ran out, and now they feel like they need a scapegoat. I don't fucking know. Who knows?
Well, I think it comes down to publicity.
You
know, everybody, like I have police security that tell me, like NYPD security that say that they go into meetings and the chief of police say, okay, these are the stories that are on social media. We're going to focus on these ones, and the other ones will just get to them when we get to them. So the millions of views that the interview got and all the other interviews he did put it on Las Vegas's radar, and here we are.
So you got him arrested.
Well, I mean, my interview, I'm sure, has some sort of contribution to it, but he decided to do the interview. If you're going to be involved in a murder and you want to write a book about it, I don't have a problem interviewing you about it.
Yeah.
It's not like I dug up the story.
So basically, he got himself rap.
I think most people would say that.
Talking too much. Yeah. I mean, again, man, Keefe D, Compton, the history of it. I like to just leave it where it is, man. And, yeah, but I don't think it does. I don't think it does anything arresting him at this point.
Have you ever met Keefe D?
Nah.
You ever met Orlando?
I seen Orlando when I was younger because we got some mutuals. But I was younger. I was younger than them. But Compton ain't that big.
Right, so, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Compton is Compton.
Yep.
Now, firstly, Napoleon makes it clear that based on what he hear about Tupac, being able to pull through, when he saw Tupac for himself, he realized how serious the situation is, and it's not as easy as everyone's saying he's going to be fine. No, as I asked the question earlier where I'm like, who really started that rumor first? Was it the doctors, to just give comfort? Was it close family members to just give comfort? I do not know who really started that rumor first, but I would really love to know. Probably at first it seems like he would have pulled through, probably they were telling the truth, but obviously later down the line, that was very, very different. Very, very different, man, because as I said, man, for everyone who went in and saw him and came out and testified to what they saw, they made it clear that Tupac was not looking pretty, man. Tupac's state was not looking good, right? So sometimes I ask the question, where did that rumor start that he's going to be fine? Because I believe that rumor went on to, probably the day before he died. So who really started that rumor? Was it the doctors? Was it the family members? I don't know, man. Let me know your thoughts on perspective. Let me know what you guys really think down in the comment section, right? But, Tupac's situation, it's big. There's no going around that. It's big, man. And Keefe D, I don't think Keefe D, being conspiring for murder and, being in the group and all of that, being in the car, you are a part of the murder, even if you did not pull the trigger, right? So for some people, they say it's pointless, such as the game and all of that, because the person who actually did it is no longer with us. But I think it still has a point, because if Keefe D was in the car, if his story is true, then he's part of it. He's part of the whole, plan. He's part of the whole execution, even though he did not pull the trigger. That's the law. There's no going around that. So I understand why some people are saying, it's not really all that, but it's the law, man. Like, I think people be forgetting that it's the law, So Keefe D was a part. If he was truly a part of it, then he was a part of it. Whether or not he pulled the trigger, he was a part of it. So there's no going around that. But I want you guys to let me know your thoughts on perspective. Let me know what you guys truly think about all of this down in the comment section. What do you guys believe, man? Do you guys believe Suge Knight be telling the truth? Or do you guys believe Suge be telling a lie? Because, there are always rumors that both Biggie and Diddy were set up by their labels, aka Diddy and Suge Knight. It's the only thing that Diddy had a rise and Suge had a fall. So that's why Suge said on the call that, he did not set up Tupac, because if he did, he would have had a rise. And I guess he was throwing words at Diddy, saying Diddy had to rise after Biggie died. But I want you guys to let me know what you think, man. Let me know your thoughts and perspective. Let me know what you guys honestly believe down in the comment section. Remember to drop a like and subscribe, my people. Drop a like and subscribe. I want to say, remember to have an amazing day. Have an amazing time, y'all. Have an amazing day and have an amazing time. Remember to drop a like and subscribe. And as usual, I'm out.